Okay, if everything went according to plan, this should be live. We should be trying to talk. It's not episode 31. I think it's like episode 33, but I'm too lazy to change that number. So here we are. Again, I'm going to be your host for Oscar. My panelists are going to be Raz underneath me, DreXxiN next to him, and then Kelsey Moser on the far side over there. Did anyone do a tweet? Did we tweet?
No, I was just about to say that.
Okay.
But,
DreXxiN?
okay, there's one. There's one. Yeah.
There's one? Okay.
Good
job. Yeah. Okay.
Alright.
So today's structure, I want to talk about primarily 5 teams. I know you guys wanted to talk a little bit about World Elite, but I'm like, who really cares? We're going to talk about 5 teams. We're going to talk about OMG, LGD, Invictus Gaming, no, and King.
We still care.
I had to watch their game, so I care.
No. We're going to talk about 5 teams, OMG, LGD, Starhorn, Royal Club, IG, and King. And the reason why I want to talk about these teams in particular is identity, upsets, and standings. Because I feel like this week's games kind of gave us a more overall clearer picture of kind of where the middle of the standings are. Because it's always been like EDG, OMG, LG. Like, that's, everyone's fine on that, we're solid. But then as soon as you start getting to
really,
fourth,
they gave us a clearer picture because I'm more confused than I've ever been.
they gave us the 4th place spot. People be like, oh, okay, it's Snake. And then as soon as you get into 5th, you're like, am I flipping a coin? Does everyone pick a number? Are we taking turns?
No, I want Proskern to explain how the standings are clear now.
Okay, just a little bit more. I actually think that I don't even know. I want to put IG there, but I'm just like, does Starhorn want to be there? Does IG want to be there? Does LGD want to be there?
We gotta hit up the teams and be like, where do you guys want to be rated? That's like Chinese money, son.
Okay. First set we're going to talk about, though, is we're going to talk about the most important one. It was OMG versus LGD. I know, I could see on your faces, you're like, which one was the most important?
Yeah. I was actually like just hoping it was that set and nothing else. I was like braced in anticipation for like a full second. Just like, this better be OMG versus LGD.
For those of you who didn't see the set, it was split 1-1. OMG lost the first game, and then in spectacular fashion, Cool got really upset, and they won the second game. And what I particularly like about this set, just to kind of like recap it before you guys go into the gritty details, is the Ahri trade-offs. First game, Wayless gets Ahri, and Wayless just is a god. Of course, like, Imp went 17 and, like, 1 and something ridiculous. Everyone's like, oh my god, Imp this character. But, you know, I'm personally on the Wayless train. He was, like, in the back line blowing people up. Second game, OMG first pick Ahri, and you could just tell in lane. Cool was, like, up in Wayless's face. Like, I dare you to do something, motherfucker. Like, just come here.
Yeah. And then if anyone's watching the Chinese stream, I like to have both open.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. Okay.
Kelsey's a better person.
Oh, whoa. I watched the Chinese stream and the English stream.
Woo!
Just
Support.
probably like in some like massive computer room, just like with like 2 massive monitors on both sides.
Yeah,
of them.
everyone's like, you should watch LCK and LPL at the same time. I'll watch LCK later because I can use my 2 monitors to watch LPL now. So bad. Okay. But his face was like really intense. But at the end of the series during his interview, he looked ridiculously happy. So
You're
I guess
talking about Cool.
that. Yeah, I'm talking about Cool.
Okay. Which one's better?
I want to say, honestly, damn. During the set, I want to say it was LGD. Because I felt like LGD were smarter, and I think for the most part their lane matchups are pretty good, and for the most part, like OMG's like specialty is the fact that they can just kind of, you know, we said it before, just brute force things. But now that LGD kind of has the power to combat that, and also the strategical edge, I think that LGD was better. I think LGD was a lot more clever too. Like, it looked like OMG was just providing this like vending machine of gold to Wayless because of the way they just like fed him 3 kills at 7 minutes. But a lot of it was actually just because like of how smart their deep warding was and how well they utilized their deep warding early on in that game. And I think it's like little stuff like that to get an edge over teams. It just shows that they're just like really intelligent. So overall, I do think that LGD played better in this set.
The one thing that I want to do as like devil's advocate, because I know that Kelsey and I were talking about LGD's warding, and I agree there was a very clever deep ward. I'm not even going to give you clever. There was a pink ward.
There was a ward. OMG had no wards. There's like we're not even saying clever.
But they did have wards. They had them in the river.
Not...
My only thing is that Ahri is so broken on this patch.
Well,
like,
yeah.
No,
yeah.
but no, I don't even think... Did North America play her on this patch? I know EU did.
NA did.
Yeah.
A few times.
So that's like why I'm a little bit hesitant, because it's no... Like, to me, it's no surprise that Ahri completely destroyed both games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if Wayless is a good Ahri, then we also just, you know, kind of tag that on OMG's drafting? I mean,
yeah, that's the other thing. Like people were talking about, Cool was just so good both games, but his Azir's team fighting was not good. Like, that was the other thing. His ult actually threw people on UZI. Like,
you think that was an accident?
People were like, Cool was so good the first game. You know, if leveling and UZI had just stepped up...
Wait, people actually thought that Cool was good? He ran on like 0-0-0 for like 45 minutes of that game.
No, this is the thing, because he out-farmed Wayless in lane, despite Wayless getting 3-0, people like thought that Cool still played really well the first game.
Okay, let's do a little bit math. Let's do some math. I love math. Okay. For every kill that you have in League of Legends, it equates to between 12 to 15 CS. So unless you have, at that point, like a 40 CS lead on someone who has 30 kills...
Yeah, but the point is that, like, he should be getting bullied or whatever, you know what I mean? But the thing is
on Azir,
it doesn't... I know. It does...
Ahri versus Azir doesn't really work well for Ahri. I mean, she can kind of do it, especially now, because she has more movement speed, so she can kind of dodge around the sand soldiers.
It doesn't matter. I'm saying that this is why people think that he played well. Like...
Oh, because he had a winning matchup and he didn't do anything for 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. I do think that... So, I'm not saying that Cool is, like, completely awful as a player, obviously. I still think he's, right now, posting games that make him look like the best mid laner in China. But his Azir was not good.
It just comes down to a lot of players kind of pulling out champions in which they haven't shown much comfort on. And you're seeing a lot. You're seeing it a lot. And I guess they have the ability to do that based on how many games there are in the split, especially with top-tier teams where they just feel like, well, we've given ourselves a comfortable lead out of the pack. They've seen the competition, so I think they get the freedom to do that, to really just, like... Azir is one thing, and you're probably not going to see him next patch either anyway, so it's like, yeah.
I agree with that. It's not only in the mid lane. I mean, obviously, it's no surprise that LGD stopped playing Kalista and are now playing Graves. Of course, UZI picked Kalista the second game, but I actually really like Graves as an answer to Kalista.
Yeah, me too. Oh my god, dude. And also... Not to mention that this also shows like how UZI is like super flaky in the regular season. It's like something that people don't see when he just goes to Worlds and performs every single game.
Well, it's because, not just... Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
Oh, no. I mean, I don't really have too much to say after that. It's just the fact that like he can slip around in like early... Like he got crushed in the first game. Like Imp just like fucking juggernauted all over him. I mean, it was... I don't know, man. It just shows like he did really good in the second game, but in the first game it was like... What are you doing with your life? Please.
The other thing is that OMG does not know how to peel for their AD carry for the most part. Like, I mean, they had comps that peeled for Sand, but they were like really, really straightforward. Protect the AD carry comps when Sand got peeled. You know what I mean?
They ran Maokai support.
Yeah, but that was again, obviously, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing they ran this second game. The first game, they, in theory, had better peel. Like, they had Maokai top lane, they had they had a Azir, but there was like not any peel for UZI at all the second game. It was like, okay.
Yeah, but the second game was the game that UZI did well.
I mean, first game, excuse me.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, there's not like, they didn't peel for him well in fights is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to, like, and UZI is used to having every single peel in the game at his disposal, right? So, I don't know. It was just weird. I think that that's a big problem that they have. I actually even have the theory that they let him play Vayne once a set just so he can learn that he will never ever get PO. But it's just it's weird because I think that they don't know how to play with him yet still. And that's troubling because we're almost done with the first half of the split right there. There are only 6 best of 2s of the first round in week 6, then round 2 starts. So
it's 11 weeks in LPL and we're on week 5, or we just finished week 5, so we're technically just underneath the halfway mark.
Yep. Halfway mark starts after the break.
I don't know. I think they do to a point. Like how they utilize him. It's okay. How they utilize him in team fights completely horrible. Like I can agree with that. I can attest that. But like how they utilize when he's on Sivir.
Yeah,
and
that's
they
the
just
thing.
decide,
Sivir.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a 1v0 usually. So I mean,
Yeah, and
that's a problem with gauging Sivir like lanes and stuff. Just because, well, it's actually hard to gauge bottom lanes in general now. Just because everything's so like focused on like pushing out the lane and then having the support roam. So I don't know. But I will say that I don't know. I feel like I like watching LGD play, and I do think they're smarter, especially because I think they force the team to have decent warding to play against them. Because like I think they've come to the point where they just accept that like Chuen is not going to be amazing on his own, so they always just like gank with him. So they just like roam together, and
yeah, they either send like Chuen or Wayless with him.
Yeah. So
I mean, not Chuen, PYL, who I don't know. He's still underrated. Like even though people have started to acknowledge him, he's still underrated. He's like really great.
Well, you have to think that anytime LGD does something intelligent, like when they are a creative team, it's on PYL.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do
100%.
Yeah.
PYL and BBSY.
It makes me think he's probably the best support in China, like by a pretty decent margin. Even with, I mean, it's hard for me to say that, Joe, just because of the situation other supports are in, like Zero with like fucking HYY and Wei, and I don't know, man. That makes it hard, but
this is the thing. Like that Zero was really good at one support style, right?
Yeah.
And I said this even last year, is he's really good at one support style, which becomes irrelevant when his AD carry is bad.
Yep.
Which I gotta say, like for people who want to see like amazing support play, that game 2, Vici Gaming versus LGD was godly. I was the most excited I've ever been on like Twitter or anything else really. If anyone is in my room, like from my room at the time, I was like, I didn't even know you could do that. Or oh
yeah, that was this week too. That's right. Yeah. So both OMG and LGD went 3-1 this week.
And just it was a beautiful thing to watch because. Not so much. Oh god, I just feel so bad for Mata. I feel so bad for him because he doesn't have much.
What, you're not saying that?
He has materials equivalent to Imp to work with once again. But
and for people that are confused about my support rankings, it's not that I don't think Mata is like a more established and successful support. It's just that like he is not playing like his Korean Mata self. So.
Are any of them?
Yeah. No, they're not, but that's what I mean. Like, people are going to watch and be like, what the fuck is in that region?
I think Deft and Pawn are actually playing better than they ever played. But because
Deft's playing really well. I don't know about Pawn.
Deft is playing well.
I mean, Pawn was just like kind of a meh. He would like do okay.
No, you couldn't say that. You could not say that. This is what I actually get like pretty heat about. Is that I
feel like in the context of Korea, like Pawn was just supposed to be there to be like reliable. That's what he did.
In lane,
yeah. And
he was really reliable in lane, and then now he kind of he's here and there.
Now he goes off. So
well, yeah, that's what he did this split, and then he's now. I mean, it's not like he was ever a bad player. He's just now becoming more familiar with playing as a team. Like he's not just as one-dimensional, focus on like taking care of his lane kind of player anymore.
Yeah,
as he plays Vigar. And just walks into the jungle and kills people and walks out.
In EDG, and we didn't really want to talk about Our Gaming, but they actually showed that they can, again, execute that old style. Of course, against it was Energy Pacemaker, but where they fall behind and they just, like, 5v5 really well, so...
Yeah, but you're just gonna like they're just better players across the board.
I know.
I'm not
I know
gonna
what you're
give that to
saying,
EG.
but
I
I
understand
watched-
what you're trying to say, but like Energy Pacemaker is so low tier a team in the context of LPL that
I
I'm
get
sorry.
that, but they did that
oh,
against.
wanna go, Raz?
I'm sorry. Are you trying to say something about my boy Drizzle?
This is the
I
point
get
where
what
Aggressor
you're-
run up and take like Frost's headset off and talk about AmazingJ.
Well, okay, they won 1 Dem 3. Let's go. Now, so the thing about
And M311 IG.
No,
and
but the
IG
thing is
beat,
that
so
last
by
spring-
definition.
last spring, Edward Gaming did this against every team. It didn't matter. Like they did this against Positive Energy, where they would
And it-
like lose for the first 30 minutes and then come back. Like
All
did,
you're
this
doing
was
is
their old
highlighting
style.
what's awful about them.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Well, I do
That's why I
understand-
didn't think Edward Gaming was a good team for like a really long time. Like,
Yeah. They know
they
how
were
to,
so
like, I think.
frustrating to watch, but they just kept winning.
Yeah. One thing I gotta say about Energy Pacemakers, I know we're not gonna talk about this, so I'm just gonna
Oh my
use
God, look what
this
you did,
nice,
Kelsey.
nice point to like slip in. Found a nice hole in there. Thank you, Base Moser.
Whoa.
Hey, then. Wow.
What?
He really
Oh.
likes Energy Pacemaker, man.
Oh.
No. I mean, no.
Really
Okay.
likes them.
I like him and then hate him at the same time, obviously, because of the whole Drizzle issue. But
OMG does, or Kelsey does that with a good team called OMG, and we're doing this with Energy Pacemaker right now.
the only thing I'm gonna talk about is the fact that I think AmazingJ is hard carrying that team. Before he was like, he's kind of shit. But like he's doing really well. Drizzle is starting to make like in
He did
Raphael
really
is saying.
well against Looper.
That's true. Well, yeah.
How dare
yeah.
you, bad talk, Looper.
the
And then
only
the second game, Looper didn't die at all, so I don't even think you can make that claim.
I just feel like the only thing that's wrong with Energy Pacemakers, and they can change their jungler.
The sentence is already going in a bad direction here.
No, no, please.
The one
Like,
quick
you-
fix. It's like great Chinese.
If we would just replace
Like-
all of their players.
And get them a new coach.
All I'm saying, you can change your mid laner. I don't give a fuck. You can change your jungler. That's a horrible idea, but like, you don't change the one reoccurring factor, and that's the horrid, like, Kane situation. Why is he still on this team? Like,
Why do
Excuse
you
you,
hate Kane?
when I read Kang's
I don't really understand.
bio on, what is it, LOL Sport, Esportspedia, that one?
yeah.
That he has an abundance of achievements. He's challenger on 3 different servers. He won some sort of MVP award for some, like, I think there were probably 6 players in selection there. He has an established reputation, Raz.
Like, if you can.
Okay, I'm gonna go with you on this, Raz, okay?
Alright,
Kane is
alright.
not, like, the worst player on that team. I
He
will
is the worst
posit
player.
Kane is a better player for that team than AmazingJ. Yeah, I went there.
Oof.
God.
I
Oof.
threw it down.
I don't think so, man. He will find a way. He'll pick a lane that counters.
Which player is not
Okay,
the
okay,
worst
time
player
out, time out.
in the
If we're
entire
gonna do
league?
this, we're gonna do it right. Okay.
Alright.
Energy Pacemaker, the shit tier team in LPL. Who is the better player on that team? The
Who
AD
is
carry
not the worst
Kane
player?
or the top laner AmazingJ, and who is more instrumental to the success? Kelsey, give me your bullet points and why. Raz, rebuttal. Kelsey,
Okay.
go.
Alright.
Because AmazingJ has to have like.
I said about Kane, not about AmazingJ. You can't prop up a player by
Frost is
tearing
trying
down the
so
other
hard
one.
to bring order, and it's just not working. It's just like, oh, I can't hold these motherfuckers under leashes.
Regardless of like how poorly he does, he manages to have like some impact in the team fight. Whereas AmazingJ has to be ahead.
Yeah, but at least he can get the like. Okay, AmazingJ will find a way to get ahead. Like there'll be times in which he isn't,
No,
but
he
more often
won't.
than not.
He
More
lost to
often than-
Looper today. He won Looper.
Looper
he
is
beat
a
Looper
season
in rank.
3 or season 4 world champion.
He does
All
not
I'm
play
saying-
like it.
I'm not gonna hold him
AmazingJ
against that.
has above 50% of the time, more than 50% of the time, he will win his lane.
That's
he'll-
wow.
and maybe that's a, like-
50%.
Hey, that's not
That-
too bad.
hey,
It's like
that's-
bottom of the barrel
Do
standings.
you know,
That's
do you
better
know
than
who
their
didn't
current
ever like
standings.
pretty much ever win lane in spring of 2014, Raz? Do you know
Who?
who never, which
Oh,
top
please.
laner pretty much
Koro?
never
It's
won
Koro.
lane?
It's Koro.
It's Koro. It's
Yeah.
Koro. Do you know which team across the board pretty much never won lane in spring of 2014? Do you know which team was also second place during the regular season?
Raz, it's EDG.
Well,
Do you know which team ended up destroying in playoffs?
I'm gonna say this.
I don't want
teams,
your lane nonsense anymore. I'm done with your lane.
No, bullshit. That's bullshit, because with those teams, they have some actual fucking team play. With Energy Pacemakers, they have, we have laning phase, and then I guess we're gonna try and use our advantages in the laning phase to fucking just try and force annoying team
Kane
fights.
is
They
like
have
the
laning
one
phrase
player.
and they have losing. Like that's it. There's
like
no in between.
the one
It has to
player
be-
who does something if he loses lane. That's
But like, he shouldn't be losing lane in
I
any
disagree.
of these. He got owned by Candy. He got shit on by Candy. Holy shit!
yeah.
That
And
should never happen.
then he turned around and he did well against Candy.
I like to imagine that Masters 3's fans, like, they tune in because they really want to see Dade, and then they look at the game like, this Candy guy is pretty good. I really like this bot lane. This is working for them because they are constantly being the consistent backbone for Masters 3, and I'm just like, this has gone so terribly wrong.
All I'm saying is Kane would be alright if he was on any other team that has some form of team play. On this team, he is expected to get an advantage in lane and then not sync. And that's something that doesn't happen with him.
I disagree with both of you. Drizzle is the real carry of that team. Have you seen his playmaking ability early game? Tell me that he does not have 100% kill participation when EP are actually ahead.
Done talking about Energy Pacemaker. I
All I'm
can't believe
saying is-
Raz and I are like
The
getting
segment
heat
is so
about
long,
Energy
man.
Pacemaker.
Energy Pacemaker.
I'm just so
Did this-
salty that
this last
EP
season
3-0'd, like, I'm so salty that EP 3-0'd fucking LD, Team LD. That should not have been a thing. But you know what? I can't even talk anymore because
I wasn't aware that this was LSPL talk.
Demacia Cup.
Demacia Cup. I was so.
Wasn't the
Let
finals.
Texas shit on them. Whatever. Okay, I'm done with that talk. So now back to OMG.
Now back to the... See, I gave them a list. Like, before the episode started, I was like, we're gonna talk about 5 teams. And then they, like, suddenly they all started throwing it. Can we talk about World Elite? No. No, we can't.
Why would anyone want to talk about
And now we have, like, a 10-minute discussion on Energy Pacemaker. Relevant teams. OMG, LGD, Starhorn Royal Cup, Invictus Gaming, and King.
Okay, we're back.
Are we?
So, a couple of things. Are we just going to talk about OMG versus LGD or OMG proper?
What does that even mean?
OMG in general.
Okay. Talk to me about OMG in general, Kelsey. Get it off your chest.
Okay, so they actually had some things that were smart this week. They have to have one bad game and one good game, like every set. It has to happen. I have no idea why they do this.
Like, oh, this is like some contract. Like, save your sanity from the team that is
they
OMG.
have to do.
Like, this is why they're losing, definitely.
And it's because of the draft, and I don't know why, because it's not like a consistent, oh, they have a bad draft the first game and they make adjustments,
You're talking
or...
about the Viban.
Yeah, well, that's one thing, like the Viban, but then also in the King set, like, they had a good draft and then a bad draft.
Yeah.
I actually think, okay, so people will look at the King composition the composition that they ran against King, and they'll think that OMG was completely trolling, but that composition was actually really smart.
Label the composition for everyone. You can't just, like, you have to have...
It's like high mobility, get at the backline composition.
Okay, and who was in it?
So it had going on Hecarim.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
There was a lot of Hecarim.
Clear love!
People said that this was the year of the goat. All I saw was the year of the horse.
Well,
I think
the
it's
year
a
of the horse
ram.
is technically not over, so...
Oh, okay.
And then Loveling played Nidalee. Cool played... Was it Ari or LeBlanc? It's essentially the same thing.
Yeah. Totally.
I think it was LeBlanc.
Yeah,
and
it was
It just kind of hops around and things explode.
yeah,
It used to build Deathfire, but now...
now the only now Cool just like destroys people with it. Yeah, okay. Sivir and Uzi played Sivir. And then, of course, Loa played Maokai support.
Maokai.
Maokai. So the first thing you notice is that like most of those champions have
That's
a
not
ridiculous.
the first thing people notice, Kelsey. When people look at that composition, like, what the fuck tree in the bot lane? Like, don't even
Most
keep
of those
yourself. No, it's like,
champions-
oh, heck
Okay,
top.
so fine.
That's
I'll
really
address the
interesting.
Maokai first. I'll address the Maokai first. All 4 of the games that OMG played this week, they played against Rumble, and they picked Maokai. 3 of those 4 games, they had Maokai support. The reason I think they picked Maokai because they realized that the only like meta top laner that Sky plays is Rumble, and a big part of his success is he has really, really good equalizers. Like that's how they beat LGD. Is Sky had good equalizers. That's pretty much it. So,
But instead of
Maokai's-
banning it like a normal team,
yeah, like, instead of banning it like a normal team, we're like, we can play around this. But we don't want to put going on Maokai because then he can't like get
so
into
we'll
the back
cripple our
line
bot lane.
on a horse. So
That was smash. Needs to get there on a horse. Like by foot,
to
it's
get
just
into
you're just not fast
the
enough.
back
You have
line
to
on
mount
a
this
horse.
bitch.
It's like who has the least game impact? You, Luo.
Yeah,
Take this champion.
and this is the other thing about Maokai support, which is the only reason, which is why I think like OMG is like one of the only teams ever that could run it, is because it relies on the fact that Law cannot hit a skill shot, so he needs like some kind of bind
They've
or
been
some
trained
kind of
for this. This is what Dota 7 was for.
Like, this
it's
is the
just
thing,
been
and-
like a yearly thing. They're like, okay, we just gotta get these really shitty supports over and over and over again. Continue. Kelsey.
Yeah, usually the really bad support is Dota 7. Just under different names, but they. That's the punchline. Dota 7 got plastic surgery. No, as I've said already, Law is not as bad as Dota 7. Okay,
We can rebuild him.
he's okay. But
No,
he-
I just like. Did they have this conversation where they all sat down at dinner and they're just like, okay, we gotta
you
figure out something
can't
to do
hit a
with.
you
with
can't hit a
Rumble.
skill shot.
No, they're just
Honey.
like they're planning about Rumble, and
Yeah,
it's just like
yeah.
this crazy meeting. All their support staffs there, the players are there, and like, okay, we could either ban
All
it,
20
or
of their players.
we could
Yeah,
pick
and-
Maokai.
And it works because it's like this very specific, and obviously I don't think it worked the second game because King ran Janna Azir, and so that's why they had a lot of trouble closing that game in part because their Maokai support was like getting shoved away all the time. But I think that they wanted to counter Rumble, but they didn't want to put going on Maokai because he doesn't have as much of a game impact. So I think it was pretty smart. And
Except they could
every
have just
time,
banned Rumble.
and every time, but then you don't understand. Lo would still have the problem where he can't land a skill shot. So like the only champion he can play is Annie or Maokai. But then he would every time they laid down a Rumble ult, he would be immediately on top of it with like.
I don't
his
think he planned to be
ultimate.
immediately there. I think he was just kind of there.
No, but I think that was the purpose, though.
No, that's
so.
obviously the purpose because you're trying to minimize the AoE of the Rumble Ultimate. I get that, but I'm not saying that it was the support player's amazing Maokai play that put him in the middle of the equalizer. I'm pretty sure that he was just
Don't be so
naturally there.
mean to Law. He can't land skill shots, but
Don't
he's not
be mean
awful.
to Lua.
Law.
I'm gonna be mean
No.
to every single
Be-
OMG support
okay.
that's not Cloud.
Be mean to him, but be mean to him for the right reasons. Like, he played Maokai pretty well.
He can't position, he can't hit skill shots, he has a champion pool of 2, which consists of Annie and Maokai. In the support position.
Yeah, but you don't need skill shots for those.
Yeah, it's
fine.
So, yeah, it worked fine. And the rest of the team comp I actually like a lot. It's really cool because with Hecarim and Sivir, like the synergy there, you can't protect the enemy team cannot protect their back line. It's just gonna get like dove on. And then like the mobility that LeBlanc and Nidalee provides, and Loveling's Nidalee against LGD is really underwhelming, but I think he actually played it well against King. So yeah, I mean that game ended in 23 minutes to put it in perspective. Like it was really good.
God, can I take that? Okay, no, let's just go into the next game. I was like, can I take this time
Just-
to talk about King?
Yeah, just bitch about Lonely's Nidalee.
Jesus Christ,
He
needs
didn't
to
play
stop
Nidalee
playing.
in that. At least in that game, he didn't play
I'm not talking
Nidalee.
about that set. I'm just talking about
Yeah.
King in general. If we're gonna talk
King
about
in
King,
general.
which they're on it, we have to talk about Nidalee.
Okay.
Okay.
So King is a fucking team that just like makes me sad because like
Best
they're
introduction ever.
they're in the process of trying new picks. That's just and they shouldn't be because they've lost a lot of games.
I love how
So
they do it
maybe-
in like really
They're
important
bottom
games
4.
too. It's like
They're
Like,
bottom
King-
4. They
King
need to
is
start
bottom
winning
4.
games. Like they need to start playing seriously. These are very important games in which they should be playing against. Like especially Invictus Gaming. So I think after some time you're like, I need to put this champion back in the factory, in the scrim factory. We're gonna work on it a little bit. And it's like I can just imagine Lonely being like, no, we're playing it again, and the rest of his team, just like, especially Wushin, just fucking just the sadness on his face, because Wushin and Lei have been performing super fucking well in every single one of these games. Maybe there's I don't know, and it's
Except for
like
that one game where Tail went 12, 0, and 13.
yeah, that one is an exception. I look past that game.
I have the blinders on. I see no evil.
Well, like he's been playing so well, and the rest of his team, just shit the bed. Sky playing,
Nar.
putting on his best shy impression, playing Mundo, and like that's a new pick for him as well. But like, and then his Nar play was so
Okay.
bad. That's when I realized it was like, yeah, he had. This is the reason why he hasn't been playing Nar, and
Yeah,
I guess he has.
to play that. And it was
Yeah, that's true, I guess. And it's just everything about him, like okay, his Nar, his Mundo, just fucking just throw that one, throw it in the let's just play it in scrims, practice it, please, practice it more. And the worst thing about it too is he's always coming out with skins, by the way, so it's like give him the aura of like having played this champion a little bit. No, he hasn't played it enough. And then you have MLXG with Nidalee, and I've been talking a lot about Sky in his picks, but like his Mundo pick was fine. It's Sky. It's MLXG, man. Lonely has not been playing well at all with his Nidalee. Jesus, he is.
played it in half of their games this week, so.
Yeah.
And
He's
to
horrible
make it
in
even worse, Lonely and Lei are the leaders, captains of that team.
Yeah.
So like if a Nidalee pick's coming out, chances are that MXLG said, we're playing this champion.
Yeah.
So just think about that one.
And he's
And
forcing
you
the
have to
pick
think
so
the
hard.
The Nidalee bait is like, okay, the damage, the damage exploit in Cougar form, if you use like a human ability, is really good. So it's like bait for these junglers who have never played a champion like that before, and then they can't handle it. Yep.
It's a sad time.
Can't
of
And the
handle
life.
Cougar.
Viban!
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know what to say about this team. I think King's gonna bring it up. Like they're gonna bring it together.
I'm
come
No, I abandoned that ship. I'm jumping on Gamty as they
Okay,
race
but I've
up.
abandoned them
not
in the
no,
season.
both of them are gone. They're done.
No, I don't know. Yeah, they're tied in the standings right now, aren't they?
Yeah. Get
Okay.
some.
Yeah.
Gamty's sneaking into the playoffs.
No, I
They're
think
done.
I don't know. My hope is that Gamty at least shoots for 8th. And
They can't
And
both
then-
shoot for 8th.
I'm not. I never. Hey, I never said I was on the Gamty train. That was just Frost. I don't give a shit about Gamty.
Rude.
But no, I want King to succeed because I've seen their off-season performance, and it's so annoying that people get to see this like really shitty King.
No,
And
I
the thing
mean-
is like they haven't been able to adapt to LPL. Like I don't know if it's like a mental fortitude thing. I know they're like trying to play more meta shit, and like that's a recent development. But they all just look so uncomfortable. Like they don't have it together yet. Their jungler sucks balls, and I
Sky
don't know.
played Aurelia the last game of why did he wait until the 6th game to play Aurelia? Because he was like amazing on Aurelia.
Yeah.
Again, I don't understand. And then Assassin can play Ahri, and he played Ahri. So why didn't you play Ahri for like the entire week? It was weird.
they're just making so many bad decisions, and like they're just they still haven't been playing like they do as they did in the off season, and it's really frustrating to watch because it reminds me of World League Academy almost. Like how they had this like distinct style. Like,
No,
Blade
because
dominated,
World Elite
and-
Academy, I could tell was like not a good team.
Yeah, well, no, of course, and I've said that before. Like, it's a hard comparison to make because King actually has shown that they can do good against these top tier teams, not just like this speculation about their LSPL performance or whatever. But it's kind of like the same in terms of like how they're reliant on the snowball and then transitioning into a lead. But lately, all that's happening is they're going like even early or worse, and then they just have no idea what they're doing for like the last 20 to 30 minutes of any game. And I don't know, it just makes no sense.
They're not like making the creative early game plays, the grouping, the team play is off.
Yeah, it's
There's
like-
no
It's
wording.
like, yeah, I understand the need to go meta when you're like playing at like a top tier level in like a strong league and stuff like that, but it's like I don't know, it's like they're playing like way too straight edge, like way too safe. Like they're like I don't know. It feels like maybe they're trying to like force themselves to like play by the books or something like that, and it just doesn't work out for them. And I don't know. That's what it feels like they're doing like every single day or every single match. And it's the team essentially has lost its identity. That's why like even though I really liked watching them in the off season, I was really hoping for them to be top 3, top 4 this split. I've kind of like I'm kind of nonchalant about them dropping off just because they don't like Team King is just like Team King by name now. They're not like Team King by the way they were Team King in the off season. So
They made a name for themselves, and then they just kind of like jumped off of that name. They just
And it
jumped
wasn't
off
just-
that cliff.
And it wasn't just like observers and fans making these speculations. If you talked to like top tier team managers and stuff, they said, "Yeah, King is good. We can't beat them at scrims," like stuff like that. So I don't know. It's weird, but though I don't put any credence to Chinese scrim results either. And I used to like argue with them about this actually, but I don't know. It's weird.
Gamty.
Yeah.
Speaking of scrim results,
Gamty.
Gamty does well in scrims. That's all we'll say. But the thing is though that like these all Chinese teams like King and OMG could. I'm not gonna say Gamty because they don't play like this, but could. No, they don't. No, they don't play like this style because these teams like Invictus Gaming with these 2 Koreans are slowing down. Like Starhorn's slowing down. Some of these mid-tier teams with 2 Koreans are really slowing down their game pace. VG Gaming, Master 3, even Snake are really slowing down their game pace and game pace and just like playing the lane.
But that's
being
because
super
hyper
safe.
carries are more prominent, not necessarily that it has anything to do
But
with the hybrid
OMG and
roster.
OMG and LGD and EDG don't do this necessarily.
Okay, well, OMG's identity as a team has always been.
I know, but that's what we're saying about King too.
Oh,
That's
I
why
see
I'm
where
saying
it's going.
OMG and King. Like
I know, but
OMG
you're
and
trying to
King
make the
could
statement
seriously-
that hybrid rosters are slowing down their gameplay to make up for their lack of team.
I think they
coordination.
are though.
I don't think that's
But-
true. The meta is just more like you have Cassiopeia, Kassadin, Azir, Ari, Callista, Tristana. All of these are
think
hyper
it's-
carries that scale into the late game. Rumble is an itemization or
I get that, but
power
you can
spike
still
level
like
champion.
make. But there's a definitive difference between like making some plays in the early game, like getting the deep wards or making dragon fights, and doing what they're doing, which is legit just like sitting in the lane. Like that's all they're doing because
Yeah.
they don't wanna risk like throwing anything away
Towers
to try to.
are more important than Dragon.
I
It's a
get
mix
that,
of-
but they're
yeah.
not even taking towers. They're just like being safe. It's like
It's-
not.
yeah.
It's so passive. Like I
It's a
watched
mix of
so
both.
many 50-minute games this week. Like.
Yeah.
there are
Ugh.
2.
Like
Someone
this is the
managed
thing
it.
I'm talking about. It's, whereas like Starhorn will make a play early and they'll get the early dragon and they'll do this, but then they don't pressure it at all and they'll just like wait. Whereas I don't know. Like I feel like King and OMG maybe have an advantage in that they can execute some of this
I'm
stuff
not
and then
arguing
keep pushing
that
it.
that's like I agree. That's what they're doing. It. I'm arguing on your reasoning of why. I think the reasoning of why is incorrect.
The reason why my reasoning is that is because LGD and EDG have much better team play and they're not playing that style.
But see, here's
But
the
that's
thing.
the
Here's
thing. That's literally
no.
the counterpoint of like it has nothing to do with these Korean hybrid rosters. Same thing with Starhorn Royal Club because Starhorn has had their
No, 'cause
Koreans
I think-
forever.
But they do. They make like these early plays, but then
Yeah.
they stop. Like
You
this
guys
is
are
the
like
thing.
not seeing. There's like a wall in between. You guys gotta connect it because
Is she
it's
not
a mix
saying
of
that they
both.
slow
It's a
down
mix.
because of their
I
hybrid
think
rosters?
it's a mix of
But
both because
it is a
Invictus
massive
Gaming
mix of
didn't
both,
slow
guys.
down before.
Because
like
they're
Starhorn
like
Royal Club
yeah.
wasn't slow before. They
because the
didn't
Starhorn
meta
Royal
wasn't
Club.
as it is.
But it's the same thing. Like okay,
the champion picks you just
Look,
listed
you guys
are
suck.
exactly the same as the champion picks that
you guys,
they played
you guys
last
suck.
week.
You guys, let me
What?
just like.
Lucian
let me
is
just-
a mid-game power spike champion and
Oh,
was
wow,
played
guys.
20
No,
times in like one team in a single split.
I know. I said last week, not last split.
He said last year.
You guys both suck. Like it's it's
I like
obvious.
Raz's counter rebuttals.
Yeah,
You both suck.
it's a,
King
No,
is
I
the
do
worst
think, I
team.
think the language barrier has like okay, IG in particular. I will say that I think the language barrier is a thing, or because they
No
did-
one is saying that the language barrier isn't a thing. That's like
no,
I
think
I'm
it's
never
what's
going to contest
helping
that.
them.
Just let
I
her
think
finish
that's
playing.
what's forcing them to slow down a little bit because originally they weren't a slow team. They were like trying to do stuff, and then the coordination was really sloppy, and they couldn't figure it out, and it was like they lost again
So
to
you're
DreXxiN Gaming off of
saying-
it, and now they're
Invictus
playing
Gaming
so
is a perfect
slow,
example.
Ryan.
A
Like
mixed-
they're playing
A
so
mixed
slow.
language team is able to play one of the most complex poke
No, it's
siege
not a complex-
compositions.
No. This is the thing. Like, it wasn't complex because it wasn't contested at all. Like, there was no contesting of the poke composition. Like, there was no
Like, okay.
contesting of it. Like, they
Invictus-
didn't pressure it.
I don't agree with this. I don't
Invictus
think it has
Gaming is a
anything to
perfect-
do with their team
IG
or
is
their
a
team
perfect
makeup.
example.
The speed of the game. I think that's just the meta right now.
it's the meta, and it's also
It wasn't the
certain
meta
teams,
last
because
week
you'll
when they
have
were
you'll
going
have certain
The
teams.
patch change. We're on
Oh,
a completely
God.
different patch.
But
Come on,
the
people.
reason you cited it for being the meta is the champion picks.
Okay, I don't think we're getting anywhere with this. That's pretty much where it is. Like,
Because
no, and
no,
IG
you
was
can't make
slowing
this
down
statement
last
because
week anyway. Like,
Starhorn,
IG was
Royal
slowing
Club,
down.
LGD, and EDG
Like, we
aren't
talked
doing
about
this.
how we talked about Invictus Gaming because they were better team plays at the start of the split. The
Dude, you
rest
guys
of
would
the
have a
teams
better
were not
conversation
good
if
at
you
team
just talked
play.
about the time.
They were awful at team play, so they slowed down because they
Alright, both
figured
of you.
out that they could stay in lane.
you guys are like, at this point, it's not going anywhere. Just go to the next
Oh.
point. Jesus. All right,
No, I think
So,
they're relevant.
it is relevant, but like
Yeah,
it's
it is.
And
Okay,
I'm not
explain
saying that
explain
she's
to me,
wrong.
DreXxiN
I'm
and
not
Raz.
saying that it's completely not meta, but she's like saying, "Oh, it has nothing to do with the fact that they had bad team play."
I
That's
didn't
not
say
what
that. I said it has nothing to do with the fact that they have a hybrid roster.
I think it
Today's
does
theme of
though.
China Talk, Jerry Springer.
God damn it, man.
I think it does though.
These teams have Koreans on them, so they need to play a slower
No,
paced
okay,
game.
no.
That's literally
I'm
what
not
I'm getting.
saying that at all. I'm saying that the hybrid rosters that haven't figured out a communication system yet. Like, I'm not saying all Korean teams are like this. That's stupid.
Mhm.
You're
That's
literally
true.
thinking I'm stupid right now. Okay, let's
Like,
go.
you guys are making the same point in which you guys are making
No,
the
it's
same
not
point.
the same
because-
point. Okay, it's
No,
Ross,
it's a-
Ross is saying that Kelsey
I
is saying
understand.
that hybrid rosters
Yeah.
are just innately playing slower, but Kelsey's saying that it's only teams that aren't familiar with it. Well, Starhorn had a long time to actually develop a communication method that worked for them because they all already built a natural chemistry within the team, and then
I'll have an 80
but
carry.
these newer hybrid rosters don't have that same system, so they're playing slower. That's
Yeah,
what they're
but
both
it's-
trying to say.
but
She
it's
used
essentially the
Starhorn
same-
Royal Club as an example.
No, but it's essentially the same
I think
because they
that
both
they're slowing down
realize.
because they're having communication issues and they're
It's
not
essentially,
pressuring.
but that's okay. No, but it's essentially the same point because
They're
both
not
realize, both people realize that, of course, both like the teams are not at the same level as they were last split because the team play is not there. It isn't because there are a lot of hybrid rosters. But now you're seeing a slowdown of the pace in the games because, of course, 100%, the meta has changed in which you need the scaling compositions. The dragons obviously matter a lot later on, and so you have to build them up. And so you have to wait a lot more. And IG has done that, in which they've actually came out in the beginning of the split with the team compositions that have like favored snowballing. Like you see the rookie on
Fizz?
Yasuo and Fizz, and and then he just changed. It's like, okay, I guess I'm on
He still plays
Cassiopeia now.
those champions.
He does, but like he's favoring
He started playing
Cassiopeia.
It's
Cassiopeia.
the way in which he's playing them, though, that's
Yeah.
slower. Like, he's still
100%.
playing. He played Ari and Yasuo, which are both snowball champions, like in the last set that he played. It's not that the champion picks have changed, it's just the way that they're being much more patient and they're not making as many early plays. Like, this is the thing that I'm putting on is they're not trying to execute early plays.
And so you have teams that will like obviously have the team play, have the level of team play, and they will get around the fact of the meta because they'll have a lead and they'll be like, okay, we'll just fucking take Baron. Or if you're not going to be able to like pressure anything, we'll just take Baron, we'll take a tower here, and that's the main thing that OMG has done well, as much as like I criticize them for, is because they're able to like convert their lead when they have a lead. The moment they realize they have a lead, they're just gonna push on anything they have. Like that's just what they will do, and it's a product of better team play. But it's in my opinion, it's like at the same time, it's probably more of a product of the fact that they can't snowball leads anymore because of the meta. So it's both, but which one you emphasize, it depends on, I guess. Nah, I think you have to emphasize more on the meta. But like you both realize that, and that's why I think it's a point they really can't really get. Like it's going nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody stated their views
I
on their
think
opinions,
that
but-
like it has a lot more to do with because even the teams that are going slower have better team play than the ones that just sit in lane.
Yeah.
I don't
The
know.
only ones that just sit in lane are your lower tier, shit tier teams.
IG sits in lane. They don't make any plays early game at all.
Yeah.
But I also think they
Well,
make their
IG
strategy
played
work around
Nidalee,
that. Like
and
because
Nidalee isn't really well known for her early lane ganks, even though they supposedly got some of them off.
yeah.
But as a team, they're not making any plays.
Kelsey,
like you're
the
you're
champion
intentionally
pool
ignoring my
shifted.
point.
No,
You're
I'm not-
intentionally ignoring my point.
I'm not trying to intentionally ignore your point. I just don't think that the primary thing is their hybrid rosters.
No, it's not that their primary
damn it.
thing is hybrid rosters. It's that
Can
their
we just talk
communication
about
is
something
bad.
else?
Can you stop misrepresenting my words?
I'm not trying to misrepresent your words. I'm talking about hybrid rosters in terms of communication. Like, yeah, it's super easy to say that a team will not play as good as a team that can communicate good. Like, that's super obviously.
Oh man.
Okay, so with that being
Can we
said,
just move on?
yeah. So what's the next topic?
IG.
God.
No, I'm not talking about IG. Done.
Fuck IG.
All right. So
Like-
basically, what happened with IG is they're ham and they ran a poke comp, so they're no longer ham, and that's pretty much what happened with IG. If we're summarizing it in like 20 seconds for Kelsey.
Hey,
But
at
no,
least,
seriously, it is weird because their identity used to be like this careless,
This really aggressive.
yeah, really aggressive, really careless YOLO team, like the definition of Chinese aggression, basically. And
And they
they,
brought in the KT arrows, and it's
yeah,
like,
they looked like the most like kind of diverse and well, not diverse, strategically sound this week. So I was looking for a new buzzword. You gotta
Hey.
rotate those.
Don't even agree with that either.
I think IG
What?
is the new cat.
Really?
What?
I don't
Hello?
think they look the most strategically sound.
Well, no. I don't mean the
said
most, but
diverse.
I mean. Okay, if we're comparing old IG to new IG, it looked really. It's like interesting to see them play a poke comp because this is something they like almost never done before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
So-
just not. Yeah, it's just not as completely ham. I mean, I don't know. I find it hard to talk about just because it's like I don't know if they're going to continue doing this, but it shows that they can and they can get results with it. So it's exciting to know that IG is less one-dimensional.
I think that if Starhorn Royal Club had pressured any kind of advantage at all, it wouldn't have worked. They didn't at all, so I was less impressed by the poke comp than a lot of people were.
they were
I
able
think-
to outmaneuver because it wasn't just a poke comp, it was a mobility-based comp because you had Jace there for the utility. Anytime you have Jace, it's going to be rotational, and that's what was impressive. Not just that they could just shoot missiles at towers, but because they could outmaneuver. And Starhorn Royal Club
Hopefully not only at towers. We keep throwing spears at this tower and
it
there's
just
nothing
won't
happening.
die. And not that Starhorn
I don't-
Royal Club has ever been like a super
Yeah, like, I
rotation
don't
smart
think-
based
I don't
team. But
I think
when Star
outmaneuvering
A,
that team that
A,
played against,
A,
that wasn't impressive.
A.
Like, you're saying this is impressive, it's not impressive. Go ahead.
Starhorn is actually really good at just engaging on things though, and they constantly
No, they
try-
weren't. That's the
Okay,
thing.
Kelsey, shut up for a second. Starhorn constantly throughout that game would stand in random bushes, particularly around the mid area, because they were waiting for IG to either face check for a Baron or face check for a Dragon to put down vision. They did this on about 4 different occasions, but IG was superior in warding and just knowing where Starhorn were, outmaneuvering them. So I understand, Starhorn wasn't the best caliber of opponent, but Starhorn did what pretty much every other Chinese team would have done in like a situation like that. They stand in a bush and they wait. And IG outmaneuvered them. So I understand
Well-
that you're trying to say that IG's not as good because the caliber of opponent was like bad as opposed to them playing good, but they still played a pretty impressive composition with the language barrier. that like IG has historically never performed before, and that is important.
Yeah, I think it's the historical context. Like, yeah, okay, maybe their execution wasn't great, and a better team would have abused it. But I think the situation is just the fact that, I mean, IG. It's not like IG's new to experimentation in the regular season, right? But it was different in prior splits. Like, it was just champion pools and stuff like that. Like, usually
they have different coaches. They have different roster.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. The infrastructure is. I know.
IG is irrelevant.
No, but we have to talk about the historic context, because the theme and the motif of this split coming up is identity. All of these teams figuring out who are we now. Like, and that sounds like really corny and over the top, but it's literally true across the board for everyone.
No,
it's
I
true for
agree, but I'm saying that in that context, IG's old identity, quote unquote, is irrelevant because they don't play like it at all.
It's a cool thing. It's a cool narrative, and we're China Talk. We not only talk about the analyzing of the games, but the narratives of the teams. This is why we like China.
Let's put it this way, okay? I feel like IG and OMG have kind of like switched in terms of how they play. Like, because OMG used to be the super strategically sound team. Actually, no, that's giving IG too much credit.
Yeah, I don't think they were super...
Never mind.
Like, they had one game where they executed a poke comp, and that was it. Like, this week they weren't that impressive. Like, they split 1-1 with M3. They split
that was bad.
1-1 with King, and like both of those sets, they just played like random stuff.
Weren't we just talking about like historic?
All I'm gonna say is that
no, but it wasn't the same. Like they weren't playing like ham style or anything. They were just like
Kelsey, you know it's
doing random
Calm
stuff.
Down, please.
Any semblance of strategy is a massive step up from what IG used to be. So
yeah, I mean, just what I'm trying to say is that it's cool because they literally always played the same way every game despite their opponents in the past, and now it's cool that they're at least experimenting even if it's against weaker teams, because it shows that they're trying to broaden their horizons rather than playing the same way over and over again.
Well, they have completely different coaching staff. They have, like, if you think about the two players they retained were Kid and Kiddies, and those were like the least ham members of that team.
And I'm also really glad that Kid's like they're just throwing Kid on Ezreal over and over again. That's something else to talk about for IG. It's like, please just keep letting him play that champion. I don't care what's in the meta.
He said in his interview he really likes it against Corki.
Isn't it like
that's always been the counter to Corki?
No, yeah,
it's always been the counter to Corki.
I
mean, there's always been like other counters to Corki, but that's absolutely a very good one.
It's Ezreal or Severe, and the only matchup that you can really pick Ezreal into safely right now, other than taking mid lane, is Corki.
Yeah. He also said, like, Kid actually said some other entertaining things this week. He said they asked him in the series where they 2-0'd Starhorn Royal Club, he asked him, who do you think the MVP was? And he said Pokemon. And they said, why? Because for once he didn't make any major mistakes.
God bless Pokemon, dude.
It's terrible. And then the other thing, like, while we're talking about experimentation and just, like, emphasizing the points that we've made before, they asked him, like, was it really hard to play 3 best-of-2s this week? He says, no, it's okay. We just treat it like scrims.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's kind of the attitude towards the regular season, I guess.
God damn it. God damn it. Please. And okay, by the way,
I can't really blame them. It's essentially what it is.
Especially anyone who's
such a wide amount of like players that can actually get into it. I don't know.
Yeah. And just for 2 points of like anyone wondering who Pokemon is and where he came from and why he's so bad, Kx.Happy. Yeah. Old Kx.Happy is where he's from. So I think that answers
that bad as an LSPL team before.
Before they were horrible.
No, but they were like 3rd place in LSPL spring.
Yeah, okay, but like it's all about this. It's all about the summer. Didn't they rotate their roster, or was it the same roster?
It was a different roster. Like they took it apart and put it back together. But yeah, I'm just saying that like historically,
so historically, KX gets to retain their
expectations.
No,
because they still have the same infrastructure. They still have the same infrastructure. It's not the same.
And it's like they never have I seen a team have like a decent bunch of people and then just say, "Nah, we're changing this to like bunch of dumpsters, bunch of garbage cans."
They kind of
bring in the dumpsters.
Sold a lot of their roster to EP and did like a semi-merger.
Oh, okay. See, that makes sense.
Man,
Many-
I just love that
Trunks.
Energy Pacemaker has so many players but still manages to suck. That's just the best
Captain
thing.
57
They have
was
like
from
it's like
Kx.Happy.
I can't.
It's like a
say
mini
this.
army, dude.
That's a good way of saying it. It's like a mini army.
I saved you.
Thank you.
It's not a slave trade, man.
I was gonna say cattle farm.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
my gosh.
EP, just disclaimer, EP was incredibly gracious. They're one of the organizations and clubs that I got to kind of peek behind the corners and figure out how they were working, and it was just like, this is what people don't understand. In North America, like, we have teams. Like, there are League of Legends teams. In China, there are League of Legends clubs. And a club is, like, an army of players. Like, they, at any point, have a disposal of so many players to contact, and I don't
Everyone
know...
looks at like the OMG army, quote unquote, that they picture like 9 of their players on screen, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, OMG has so many players." You have no idea.
You have no
Yeah.
idea. Like, it's just crazy. Like, when we were there, like, oh, do you need a mid laner, you need a jungler, you need a top laner, and then bam, like, the very next day, like, 4 players. It's like, where are you getting these people?
Oh, by the way, some people are asking who Kx.Happy is, and that's gonna derail the chat even further.
Okay.
But can I just make a very quick
Go
statement
that. Spread your
Okay.
LSPL wings.
Okay.
And fly.
Kx.Happy is one of the many organizations you'll find in a beautiful land called LSPL. LSPL is a place that's actually quite competitive right now. Don't look at the old works of the LSPL, because even though it was as funny as it was, as funny as the production was, it's actually a lot better now. Production-wise and competition-wise, you'll see a lot of teams like ADG, who, like, during the Demacia Cup, took a game off of Snake, 4th place team. Jab, jab. So watch it. It's actually a really... it's fun to watch.
We always
It's
go
good.
down this rabbit hole.
All I gotta say is that Kx.Happy used to be a dumpster team in the summer split. They are significantly better. They've just been rotating rosters. This split, they're a lot better. They might get through, if I'm remembering this correctly, they might get through group stages, but yeah, playoffs will be coming up soon, so pay attention to that.
What's really important to note with the LSPL teams is that they scrim with LPL. They scrim with LPL, they have third-party tournaments with LPL. So that's why we rate LSPL particularly high, and that's why we always go down the rabbit hole of any time a team in LSPL performs, it's like, oh, they're going to be great in LPL. And then,
Okay.
like, our hopes are either crushed or Snake is in
Okay,
fifth.
I
Or
did
Snake
this
happens.
once.
No, or Snake happens.
I think I can.
did it once. Okay.
I think I can still put Snake being like a great team to my hopes being crushed. So I didn't want them to
Yeah.
fail, but I didn't want them to fit off the back of King's failures. So I'm just
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So
We just like swap.
I
Can we
think-
just enter an alternate reality where Snake and King are in opposite positions on the placements right now, please?
Okay, come on. Snake's doing well right now. That's nice.
No, they are.
It's good.
that's not
There.
that's good.
No,
Team
I'm happy.
Snake is
I
not
really-
one of the 5 teams that we're scheduled to talk about.
But still, I want to just get off that topic quickly by saying that I'm really happy for Flandre. Before, I thought he was going to have the same spirit
Wonder did
situation.
really well
Yeah, he's won really well.
this week.
And so what's the next team that we're supposed to talk about? Because I have the
That was
memory of
it.
Fish. That was it. Oh my god.
What about EDG? Did we talk about EDG?
No, we're not talking about
No.
EDG. They had
Wait, really?
easy games this week.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
had
Did we talk about King?
So EDG.
We talked about King, we talked about
Yeah,
how
we did.
Lonely sucks.
only-
We didn't talk about King in detail though.
Yeah, but I have scrims.
I
Okay.
talked too much. Yeah, King is just. They need to get better. They need to get good.
Well, we're the lead now.
I want to see. Okay, so wait, never mind. That's off topic. I'm just. Yeah, I just really want
Do
to
we
see.
have any
versus
other
LGD.
closing things that we want to talk about? Like, does the chat need something from us? Do we have
other-
like an important point?
No,
the
I
other
think
big thing about OMG's victory over LGD in
The Vi
Game 2 is
ban.
well, no. They pushed out minion waves. Like, did you guys notice? Like, they
Yeah, they
pushed
did.
out, like, they had minion control.
that
Wow.
team's working, man. They're
Talk
doing
about
stuff.
development.
I will say this: Flame played the best out of LGD the second game,
This is true.
and just because
Yeah.
they lost
Yeah.
when Flame was playing, I won't even count it against Flame.
I feel
Yeah,
really
actually,
bad
it's-
for Flame, actually, because I feel like he Acorn plays a game, he pisses off like one carry on the enemy team, the other carry gets like really mad, and here, have fun, Flame. Please enjoy Ari diving your tower 3 times.
Well, that said, that's also on the fault of LGD. They knew that was going to happen. There was no way that the first pick Ahri wasn't going to happen. They're like, okay, I'm feeling lucky. I'll play Zed. Oh god, I don't want to play Zed anymore.
That should be a skill matchup now.
Pretty sure it's actually pretty decent for Zed unless Ahri just decides to go hand.
Yeah, I know, but it's
Oh
he just
gosh, he has
got
too
to
much
lane
safety.
and he burned like he burned his ability and then he like auto-attacked him like
typically
4
like
times.
an okay matchup for Zed. Like that's the irony here.
I know.
Wayless just got punched in the vagina like repeatedly.
That's the thing though, that like, so Wayless had one bad game, Cool had one bad game, and then they both played Ahri.
And then the general conclusion is that Wayless sucks.
Wayless sucks
yeah.
and God.
I love the conclusion off this result. That seems good. That seems to be the general
But,
thought.
because you have to think about, like, the way Wayless positioned to flank in teamfights, like, his Ahri was really good in
really
fights.
You could say he made Wayless mistakes.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, his Zed, whatever, whatever. But
The
Cool
sign
was mad. He could have been playing anything. Like, that could have been anyone. That could have been Faker in the mid lane. Cool was mad.
you wanted blood. All I gotta say, my last point at least, is that Anivia is God. Anivia has come back. It's back to
Anivia
us.
is the god of LPL.
I don't think Anivia's come back. I think he's just been played in
He-
2 games
Anivia-
coincidentally. He's just not good.
No, it's been played
Anivia
pretty
won
well.
2 games this week, okay? Anivia is 2-0 this week.
She's
Yeah,
2 out
it
of
must
3.
mean she's just a great champion. Alright.
It stops the Scion ultis. That's a good point.
Oh my god, that's genius.
Oh my
Anytime
god,
you pick a Scion,
Raz,
just take
someone hire this
Anivia.
guy as a coach. What the heck?
Alright.
It's like, boys, we need the bird.
And then just run it top lane against Scion top. Oh my god,
but
you can't dive it because it's got an egg.
Oh,
WE's
man.
picks against
Revolution has begun.
Gamty were so smart. Oh my god.
It was.
No, we're not talking about World League. We're not talking about GAMT. Close your statements.
Alright,
Raz.
that's not good.
He gets a world
That's
lead.
it.
It's like, but world lead.
But I just want to
World
pretend that
League.
they're a relevant team. Huh?
My closing statement. I think that's about it, actually. I think I just talked about the Anivia. Anivia is good enough for me.
Okay. Do you have any sponsors or anything like that, Raz?
Paravine, soon be Liquid Legends. Yeah, that's about it.
Good. DreXxiN.
Alright, okay, so closing statements before shout out. I just want to say that, yeah, when people are watching LPL, I want to do another reminder, since I have to remind people individually in different chats that are headache-inducing, that you can't judge regular season results in the same method as you can other season or other regions, just because of just culture, and also because of just the sheer quantity of games. So contextually, you have to look at them differently. It's not to say that results don't have weight, because they do, but there's a lot of experimentation because of the amount of games and the culture of the region. Like, that's why you saw LGD have areas where they played Acorn on carry champions and Flame on supportive champions and stuff like that. They're and lane swaps nonetheless. I mean, there's just a lot of shit that, like, obviously is clearly not the number one decision to win a game, but like build up for potential, like, you know, like just a stronger team in general, and like to build up to the playoffs and stuff like that. So I just wanted to get that out there because I think it's important. And otherwise, yeah, just shout outs to Esports Heaven and stuff, because I work there, and I'm done.
There we
Kelsey?
go.
WE had really good picks against Gamty. Score, just because Gamty is a late game team. That's the only point I wanted to make. Woo. Okay. So, yeah. Thank you to the score for allowing me to write for them and stuff.
My favorite part about all of this is Kelsey gets into Reddit fights like every other weekend. I just want to make that statement first. So
I don't get into like
contextualize this.
intense Reddit fights.
She gets into Reddit fights, and I think the best comment that a guy ever made to her was like, I can't wait for you to fade into obscurity and become nothing. And then, like, immediately following, they announced that she's working for the score. And just the irony of that pretty much, like, made it for me. I was like, oh.
That's great.
Reply to that years later and be like, what now?
There's that guy on Reddit, he knows. He just, like, he saw the announcement and he sees the articles, he's like, fuck. I have to take back my meaningless Reddit
Time,
comment.
time will tell if I actually avoid fading into obscurity, though. So yeah.
Wow, Kelsey, I love your esteem.
It's still on, yo.
Okay,
Let's go.
that's it. Everyone
I
wave,
just like being
smile.
in competition with
wave.
Guy.
Kelsey, wave.